Yeah, so can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the basic first point is like understanding the pawn structures. It's given that only. So from the next slide, we will be able to understand the points. Yeah. So as we discussed earlier in the last session, the two steps, like two things are important. First, the direction where you want to play, kingside, queenside, or the center. Okay, detect the direction, and then the execution, how to do it. If you have planned that you will play on the queen side, how to do it, how to bring your pieces, how will you play with your pawns. These are the two main steps while composing the plan. Okay. And the most important thing in this is, why is it not working? The most important thing is the center. Center determines where you should play. Like here it is written, if you can attack in the center, do it. These are the basic things which we are learning from the beginning. Okay. Yeah. And see the counter play. Like suppose your opponent is trying to counter attack in the flank, then you should counter attack in the center. That's the main thing.
Got it.
Like your first priority should be always the center. Play in the center. How can you play? But there are some exceptions. Like if the center is completely closed, like we discussed about the closed center, we cannot play in the closed center. Okay. Suppose you have played in the center and now you have total domination over it. Now what you can do is, you have a total domination in the center. Now you can move your pieces to attack his opponent's king, or you can create pass pawn in the queen side. When you have total control in the center, your opponent cannot create counterplay against it. Suppose you are trying to attack opponent's king, but what is its natural reaction will be? That I want to attack in the center. That point will not be available because you have total domination. You will better understand with some positions. Okay. And the next is you control enough central squares to prevent a counter blow. That's what I said. Second and third point are similar. Okay. And the next, the 5 types of center as we discussed. Open, closed, static, pawn, and dynamic. Closed and static we have covered. Today we'll try to cover the rest of the 3. But we'll go slowly, not in a rush, because it will be difficult to understand them. And here it's one very good thing written. A grandmaster does not see 32 individual pieces. They see a specific pawn structure and then they try to create a plan. If you are playing in a game and you think about all the pieces, this piece will do this piece will do that, it's not possible. Right?
Yeah.
Very difficult. Okay. The open center. So today we'll start by seeing some open center positions. How you recognize this is an open center when there are no pawns in the central squares. And the plan. The main plan will be to centralize your pieces. If the center is open, like you can see in this diagram, if the center is open, if your piece sits in the center of the square, then it can move in every direction. Like suppose a bishop sitting on e4, it covers all the diagonals. But if a pawn is on d5, the bishop will not be able to cover that whole diagonal. Are you able to connect?
Yeah.
That's the power. And in open center also, one more very important thing is, like you should not play with your pawns much. In closed center, it's opposite. You should play more with your pawns. But in open center, you should play more with your pieces. Like pawn moves also create lot of weaknesses. Suppose your pawn is on h7, g7, f7. The black king is on g8. If you play something like h6, it creates weaknesses. And in an open center, the king can be very vulnerable. The king can come to direct attacks because all pieces are active. So such minute pawn moves, h6, g6, we should just avoid if it's not necessary. Okay. Okay. Let's start with seeing some positions. First, we'll start with open center. Do you guys have any doubt? Like before you did some positions, did you face any problem in doing all those, or in open center something before going to positions?
For now, nothing from my end.
No. Okay, nice.
No, no.
Okay, let's go to some positions. See, the position which we are starting with is not a direct open position, but very soon it will become like that. So, how will you continue as white from here? What will be your plan and thinking process?
What about pawn e5?
Yeah, E5.
E5. Okay, interesting. Like the first step which you guys did was correct, that playing in the center, but is it working tactically also? Like E5, D5, what are you doing?
F
E5.
takes. F takes, and if the knight takes, we have rook f6. And
Yeah, so queen takes.
if queen takes, bishop f4 is very strong. No? Bishop f4. Like a
Yeah.
lot of activity.
Okay. And after queen c5, now the threat is like e5 is one threat, and then the d4 knight is also pinned. So
Uh,
e5 is interesting, but again, first step is correct, playing in the center, but how to do it? is also very important. Like we saw, no, two steps of composing a plan: direction and execution, how to do it. But I agree, there is some activity. But after queen c5, e5 is threatened.
After
It does not look so clear. What?
yeah, like after queen c5, then rook e1 and then bishop. No,
Rook e1, okay, and suppose black plays bishop g7. Now, if black castles, black is just a healthy pawn up. And after castling, I don't think there is much attack. And again, e5 threat is again alive. What are the other options? e5 is interesting. What are the other options?
f5, f opening up the f5.
f5, okay, very good.
yeah, but like f5 met with e5, no? I mean, uh, the the center will become closed then.
Yeah, that's the point. There is something in there also, because it comes naturally to us. It's very good that closing the center from black, you said that point, it came naturally to his you is very good, because if you see black's position, black has played a6, d6, e6, g6, h6. And what I said in the starting, that in an open center, the position will, if the position gets opened, you should not make too many pawn moves. And also black's king is in the center, so black will try to close it, but white has some things, some tricks to open it up.
What about rook e1 followed by e5?
Rook e1 followed by e5. Okay, no, if you see one idea, you should not drop it very soon. First you should try to make it work by looking at some possibilities. Even if it does not work, then you should go for other options.
What about f5, then e5 and knight e6, sacrificing the knight? If f takes e6, then f takes e6, and the d7 knight is under attack, and f6 knight is also under attack.
Yes, that's the point. f5, e5, the correct idea is knight e6.
Got
You want to go into the position of black. You want to open it up. But I think f5, if black plays direct e5, f into g6 is also possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like f into white will sacrifice a piece, but the position got opened up. Black's king is in the center, and too much attack coming up. So that's why in the game, black after f5, black played gf5. Which pawn will you take if you are white?
E take f.
E takes f5, opening up the center also, and also opening up the g2 bishop. E takes f5, e5, now knight e6. Now it's trouble time, no? Basically, you cannot take the knight. If you take it, it will just be a mess. We'll get our piece back, plus very strong attack. And if you don't take, the knight will be very annoying, no? For black. Next move, we can play knight d5. Let queen b6 check. king h1. And I think already white is better. So one more thing, like, do you want to go deep in one game only, or do you want me to show as many games as possible so you understand the idea more? We can go deep also in this game.
Whatever you feel is more instructive.
I think seeing more ideas is more instructive because the later part is not of our topic.
Got
It
it.
will be about tactics, how good you are in tactics.
Got it.
Yeah, so it will be better to see as many games as possible, as many new ideas.
And just one suggestion, if possible, if you could also show the side variations, I think it will be a little easy for us all. Yeah.
Side variations means after f5.
Yeah, like for example, you suggested after f5 e5, you said f takes g6 also,
Yeah,
right?
f takes g6.
Yeah,
If he plays f takes g6, then knight e6 is just crushing actually.
yeah.
The knight sits very pretty on e6, so it's just bad for black now. And but the critical variation is e takes d4. So we'll first put an intermediate check, g takes f7. Now black has some options. He can take king takes f7. He can play king d8. If suppose he plays king takes f7, do not play queen into d4 because queen into d4 means what is coming?
Uh, Queen trade, queen b6.
Queen trade. We don't want queen trade. We have sacrificed a piece. We want to attack this lonely king. So just play knight d5.
Yeah.
This knight is stuck. Okay. And in later we can play king h1, queen d4, also some g5 ideas. It's extremely difficult to defend this kind of position. The queen is also under attack now. He has to move the queen first. This is just crushing. Now it depends on you how your conversion skills are because this position is already better. You'll play g5, maybe even queen f3, putting more pressure. But
Yeah, like
already very better. Yeah,
in previous position, can you go back where that you put knight on e6 and pawn, like black has the option to take that pawn.
where
No. Yeah, knight putting on e6 directly. You put.
direct knight e6.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also possible.
Yeah.
I think this is also possible.
Uh, well, like no, the first variation that we discussed f5 for f5 then e5.
Yeah, this is only f5 e5.
Yeah, then what was the second? Yeah, okay. Now knight will jump on e6, right?
No, I'm saying knight e6 is also possible, but fg6 looks more simple.
Yeah.
Knight e6 is also possible, but fg6 is more simple because now here we'll play queen b6 check, king h1, and now bishop e7. Now he'll threat to take on e6. Then you have to play maybe knight d5, and it's getting messy. Maybe it should be better, but the simpler way is to play fg6.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So let's move to the next position. This position, white to play. This is from Sicilian Naidor opening. What's the most tempting thing in this position?
What I like here is bishop takes e6, and if
Okay.
f takes, then knight takes. Queen is under attack. They'll move the queen. We'll get the pawn on g7 check. So we got three pawns for the piece, and the king is also exposed.
I'm not sure, but I think for bishop takes e6, there is an intermediate move. Not so difficult.
Bishop take e6, then knight e5.
Yes, 95.
Right.
Now you will not be able to take knight into e6 because the bishop covers the e6. You will take f e6 and
I
just
mean,
piece up.
as a black, the next move anyway will be knight e5.
Yes.
The best possible move for black, knight e5, then bishop
See, one
either.
very nice thing, one nice thing I'll tell you that uh, when you are thinking that you want to sacrifice something, suppose your opponent's king is in the center, as in this situation, or maybe sometimes the opponent king is castled. One standard sacrifice is suppose bishop into h6, queen on d2, bishop e3, pawn h6. You'd sacrifice on bishop into h6, piece sacrifice to open up the king, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you are thinking for such ideas, try to make the position as open as possible. Idea is correct, but there is a better way to do it.
Uh, queen h3, then
But again, I think you will not get time to sacrifice, no? Because you will play anyways knight e5 and defend the e6 spot. And if you try to remove that knight by playing f4, the
yeah,
knight
f4.
will sit on the bishop's nose, knight c4.
What about this variation when if you go with bishop cross bishop, then I push the pawn on e
What bishop cross bishop? I did not get.
4 to e5, discover check. Bishop cross knight, then I may go for e4 to e5, having a discover check on the
You you mean that you will play first bishop into f6? Then
counterattack on
if
the
black
rook of the black from the queen.
if black takes knight into f6, you will play
Yeah,
e5.
bishop
But e
f6.
like your voice is breaking in between. Hello?
By any of the piece.
Are you guys able to hear him
Then
properly?
I'll go for
I'm having some
e5,
issue.
having a double attack kind of thing.
No, the uh, voice is a bit breaking.
Yeah.
Like I'm understanding he wants to play e5, but e5 some ideas, but when I'm not able to understand it clearly. Like you can also message if there is some problem.
Okay, I'll check my connection. You can please
No, now
continue.
it's fine. Now it's fine. When you turn off your
Yeah,
video,
yeah,
now it's
sure.
fine.
Please continue. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
So I was just
you
saying
were
that,
saying,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, bishop cross knight on f6, then followed by whichever piece takes the bishop, white bishop. I'll go for e5, having a double kind of attack on both the piece and as well as the discovered attack on the rook of a8.
Okay.
So
Like
maybe,
bishop cross f6, knight cross f6, e5, bishop b7. No counter attack.
Yeah, bishop
yeah,
bishop b7.
uh, so there's a double attack kind of thing. Attack on the queen, attack on the rook on the queen side of the black, and then there would be attack on the piece as well. So at least I would be an exchange up in that variation, maybe.
Like, can you repeat the variation? Bishop cross f6, knight cross f6, e5, bishop b7. Now what are you playing?
Bishop d7. 1 minute. Uh,
Okay, let me put it.
I'm
It's
not
better.
gonna
Bishop
play for,
cross
yeah,
f6,
yeah.
e5, bishop b7.
Okay, from here I would go for, uh, mm, it's not working that way. Yeah, it won't work. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so, but the idea is correct. Somewhere this idea of playing e5, you have to mix it up with both the ideas, e5 and bishop into e6. So, what's the correct order in doing this?
Yeah. Rook e1, then followed by e5.
But rook e1, knight e5 comes. No, you cannot be slow.
Bishop cross f6, then knight takes e6.
Wait. Bishop cross f6, knight cross f6.
Knight cross e6. Yeah, then white knight cross e6, sacrificing knight for a pawn.
But if I take with the pawn,
Queen h5 check.
no, knight is on f6. Maybe some visualization here, just getting it wrong.
Okay, knight.
Knight is on f6. No,
Okay, knight. Okay, I was bishop take.
kind of counterintuitive. Okay, will you try once more or will I tell? How is it working?
What if we start with knight sacrifice first? Knight takes
Yeah,
e6.
F takes e6.
F takes e6.
here actually like one question, like if you like some sacrificial ideas are coming onto your mind, like here you have two options, either you sacrifice your bishop or either you can sacrifice your knight. So
Yeah.
which one we should choose, like based on seeing some pawns are on which square so that I can sacrifice my bishop, or
Like basically you have to see both, and it's about calculation point, and then you have to evaluate like which sacrifice looks good. It's not so simple. There is not a straightforward answer for it. Suppose there is an option, queen sacrifice and rook sacrifice. So you should see first queen sacrifice because queen is more powerful. But bishop and knight, maybe you can prefer bishop first. You check if bishop into e6, okay, bishop into e6, knight e5 is coming. So it's not working. You have to see both. You cannot do it as a shortcut that I will see only one and I'll make it work. So you have to calculate that. And choosing which one first, you can choose by power. Like you can choose like bishop is somewhat more powerful than knight. Okay, so let me calculate bishop into e6. Bishop into e6 is not working, we saw knight e5. Then I'll see knight into e6. Okay, Okay, so the move is actually kind of counterintuitive. What we feel is the move is e5 direct. We see e5, black will play bishop b7, and our calculation stops there only. Most of the time. Maybe you guys have also saw first e5, bishop b7. Oh no, my pawn is going. Queen is also attacked. I'll have to move the queen. But it's wrong. Like, you should not be emotional in calculation. You should stop your calculation only when you can see something concrete that, okay, this position, I can make this evaluation. This is equal. But this is not concrete. The pawn is attacking the knight. You can move your queen. You have to see till the end. Like, white played queen g3, knight into e5. Now your bishop is not on c8. Basically, in all other types of center, if you take this open center, it's more dynamic. It's very dynamic. Like, more tactics will be there, more combinations will be there. And bishop takes e6. Actually, black is just busted. Can you see, tell any move that, okay, black can try this move or something like this? So that we can be sure, okay, this is better for white. You can try from black any move you want. Like, the most tempting option, okay, I'll only start. The most tempting option which will come to my mind is b4. Let's try to create some counterattack. I think b4, we can take bishop into f6. Why bishop into f6? Because we want to go to knight to d5. Suppose bishop into f6, knight d5. If it takes bishop d5, we'll just play bishop d5. We are a pawn up. No, not pawn up. We are not a pawn up, but the bishop on d5 is just a monster. Next, we'll play f4, followed by rook e1. The king cannot castle. Just white is just better. And also, f into e6, just knight into e6. We will take the g7 pawn. King will come out. You have the feeling, no, this position should be better for white, or do you have any doubt that no, black is a piece up? Is this kind of a feeling you are having?
I think white is doing well. But I have one question. After queen g3,
Yeah.
what if they castle immediately? Like,
No, e5, pawn is on e5.
ah,
e6.
yeah. So they have to react.
So we are threatening either d into e5 or knight into e5.
Got it.
Okay.
Can you repeat that idea of f4 b4 again, like when bishop takes and then b4 for counterplay?
Yeah, so basically, when your opponent is attacking or putting some pressure on your king, your natural reaction should not be like, oh my god, how should I defend my king? Let's castle. It should not be like this. It should be like, okay, he's attacking. Can I also attack? First initial mindset should be like this. If not, then you can see for this castle kind of moves. But it's very sad to make this kind of moves, no? It feels like you are giving up. You admit that your opponent is better, kind of. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, let's see. Yeah.
So instead of
So this
castle,
is,
if we go b4.
yeah, b4 I said, no? b4. Okay, you were asking for the variation.
Yeah.
Bishop into
b4,
f6.
bishop
And
takes.
then bishop into f6. If not, then queen into g7 is also coming. If he takes the knight.
No, bishop
Bishop into
takes.
f6.
Bishop takes. Okay.
Here,
Bishop
if
d5.
takes. Sorry, my
Bishop d5.
Queen is hanging.
queen is hanging. Yes.
Bishop takes. You will move your rook.
Yeah, rook
c8.
c8. Yeah.
f4. looks something cheeky. The knight d3 check is cheeky because you want to take this, remove this knight, but
Yeah.
I think nothing is
Queen
coming.
takes is there. Takes.
Yeah, and it just defends, and this is just minus.
Yeah.
Main reason is black cannot castle, and opposite color bishop. One rule is like the side which is having more powerful attack in the middle game is just better. Because if you attack on the light color, who will defend the light color? Basically, if you attack on the light color, black is piece down. And if black attacks on the dark color, we are piece down. But white king is more safer. Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, in like just one more query here. The initial
Yeah,
position, like if we won't play bishop d7 at all and just simply knight take pawn.
rook is hanging.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So usually in Naidor, just like whether we usually place this knight on d7 or knight on c6.
I think he messed it up in somewhere in the opening because you should not play b5 here. Maybe you should play something like knight c5. Suppose you think that black did not play b5, black can play something like knight c5 and just trade off this bishop, and then you can continue with either bishop d7 or bishop b5, b5, bishop b7.
Yeah,
The main piece is the b3 bishop, no, that is only being sacrificed on e6.
yeah. Okay, got it.
Okay, let's take one more position of the open center. And don't have this misconception, like it was written in the starting that open center means there are no pawns. Like basically open center means where there is free space for your pieces. Like you see after e5, the position is completely open. Both e file and d file are open for white. Okay, suppose this position. This is very nice. White to play. And again, you see black has made a lot of pawn moves. f6, g6. How to take advantage of this fact.
Here black can castle, right? I mean, black has the option of castling on the king side.
No, no, it's white to play. I said white to play.
Uh,
How can white exploit the weekend moves black has made? And also, like, there is a simple solution. Like, if you have any doubt like this, you can see here near the h1 square. You can see the color.
yeah.
Whatever color it is, that move, that player's move.
I'm just thinking from the black's perspective whether that's
Yeah,
gas.
black's perspective, it's absolutely correct. Black will want to castle.
Okay.
Like, you should not be greedy for this kind of c4 pawn when your king is especially in the center.
Bishop h6 is
Bishop h6 is possible, but it's a waste of a move. If you can see black's response, bishop h6 is waste. Okay, let me give you one hint. This is a very classic example. So let me give you one hint. Yeah. See this diagram. So here what we are placing, we are trying to place our pieces in the center, and also the plan, centralize your pieces to attack. You have to find a very good square for a piece, perfectly centralized, so that it can make best use. It's not easy, but you can find with this idea.
what if I start with bishop e3?
Bishop e3, like typical blitz move, no? We
Yeah.
don't have to think, yeah, let's develop bishop e3.
Bishop f4.
But yeah, like okay, bishop f4, your idea is like playing bishop d6, but
Yeah,
you'll just play e5, no?
e5. Yeah, I'm thinking how to counter e5.
What about
Okay,
queen
so
d3?
yeah, the most typical moves, but the move actually is
e4.
no, not e4.
What about knight d? Oh, okay. Yes. No. Knight
Right.
d2 to e4. Yeah. Interesting.
Now it's just crushing. And if it tries to stop it with f5 or d5, it further weakens the position. Like you don't have a dark color bishop, and every dark color will be weak.
Here black will suppose castle or d6.
Okay, suppose castles, knight e4. Are you not having this feel that white is just better? The knight is just so good. d6, f6. Suppose you take queen into c4, bishop h6. Now what you will play? If you move your rook from this file, then f6 is falling. Just knight d2, knight d4. Simple plan. The knight is perfectly centralized, and d6 is just blunder, no? This pawn is falling with a check.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I think maybe he played in the game d5 or f5 something. Yeah, f5. Now, as I said, it weakens the dark color a lot. a4. Boom. Bishop pair advantage. Dark color weak. The bishop will sit on d6. Complete crushing. Not crushing attack, but positionally crushing.
Got it. What if instead of f5, e5? Like, how should we play if they play e5?
No, e5, knight e4, no? How we protect
Yeah.
f6?
Got it. True. True. So
Yeah, I think maybe after knight d2, white is just better. Okay, for this, I'm very curious what the engine will say. Because in this kind of situations, you should see. What is he saying? My God. Bishop e3 is also possible. But knight d2, you see, it's close to winning advantage. You can see this.
yeah.
So it's just close to winning advantage. Okay. What happened? Okay, let's see some pawn center positions. Before going to it, let's see some this slide, how it explains to me. So we saw this open center. Centralize your pieces to attack the sides because there is nothing to attack in the center. And also see, last point, avoid careless pawn moves that create vulnerabilities. If you see in all the three positions we saw, the pawn weaknesses. Due to those pawn weaknesses, only white was able to exploit it.
Got it.
Yes. Yeah. Next one, the close center. Central pawns are locked. Direct piece attack is impossible. Plan. Initiate a pawn assault. Like we saw, we have to choose one side according to the pawn center and then try to create an attack either on the king side or the queen side. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the direction, we choose one side and play more with the pawns.
Yes. Yeah, and one more very important thing in the pawn center, which I think I forgot to say, in the close center. The base attack and the head attack. Okay, I'll explain you with an example. In the French defense, okay, I'm telling you the variation. Will you be able to visualize just the opening?
Yeah.
E4, E6, D4, D5, E5. This is a close center.
Yeah.
Okay. In the close center, you can attack basically in two parts. One is the most obvious, attack the base. Suppose you play C5, he plays C3.
Can
Now
you see
this
the
B2.
positions?
Okay, yeah. One sec. So this E4, E6, D4, D5, E5, C5. So this after D4, E5, this is a close center. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about the base, this is the base, this is the head. After C5, C3, these two are the base.
Mm.
This is a pawn chain, and these two are the base. So the general plan is like black usually plays on the queen side. If you know about the French opening,
True. True.
looking at the pawn chain, queen side. So black usually plays sometimes C4, B5, B4. These are some plans attacking the base of the pawn chain. And the second plan, which is a bit dangerous, which is the attack the head of the pawn chain. E5 is the head. So how you attack? There is one plan in French also, F6.
Mm.
Right? These two are the main plans. Okay. But this is a bit risky. To attack the head of the pawn chain, F6, EF6, the position gets opened. And the E6 pawn will be a weakness. So you should be dynamically correct to break on the F6 break, to break on the head of the pawn chain. That's why the general plan is to attack on the base. If you are seeing, this is an exception, if you are seeing the white king is in the center and your king is castled, your pieces are more active, you think that if the center gets opened, I will benefit. So break it with F6.
Got it.
Okay. This was one important thing which I forgot to mention. And yeah, here also it is written. Attack the flank where your pawn chain looks like pawn chain F7, E6, D5. This provides a natural space advantage and is the safest, most classical plan. And head attack. Attack the head of the chain directly. This requires playing in the center and relying on piece activity. It is highly aggressive and demands exact calculation. That's what I said. Okay. Yeah. Static center we saw. Central open files exist. Pawn structures remain relatively fixed. Struggle for control over the open file. Suppose pawns are on d4, d5, e file is open. So you struggle for the e file, that you want the e file in your control. The e5 square for the knight or bishop, minor pieces. Anchor your minor pieces on outpost.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you asking something?
No, correct.
Yeah. And the most interesting. So static and closed are kind of boring positional, you can say. Open center is more tactical. And the pawn center. The pawn center is the most interesting. Suppose your opponent is having e4, d4 pawns, and you don't have any pawn in the center. Or suppose you are having the central pawns, opponent is not having any pawn in the center. Here how should we play? So how to recognize this? One player holds central pawns, the opponent has none, but controls open files. Okay. Possessor's plan, which has the pawn center, push forward, try to create an attack, gain space, achieve positional domination. We'll see some examples, okay. And the defender's plan, you have to attack the center as much as possible. See here, we can see some point. This is a, suppose this is a center and black is trying to attack the center. Because if opponent's center stays for a long time, it will be very dangerous. You have all the center control. Okay. The blockade mechanic. I think I should. Okay, I'll show you one example, then we'll come back to this one. One very nice position. Yeah, this one, black to play. Okay, like opponent is having pawns in the center, but you see as white is just dominating it here. So black to play. How will you fight?
C6.
C6. Yeah, what's your idea?
Like controlling the center.
But maybe you can even come further forward with d5, c6, d5.
C6. C6 and D5, like white won't take on D6.
Yeah, white will definitely not take on d6, no? Why will white want that this bishop become happy?
Yeah.
White will never want this bishop to be happy.
So two ideas come to my mind, like c5
Okay.
immediately, and c5 but d5. I don't like d5, c5 and d5. But one more variation is to take on e5 and I think they'll take with the pawns, one of the pawns, and then play f6.
Okay, so you are saying that d into e5, f into e5, f6.
Yeah.
But then again d5, no?
Uh,
d5, e6, massive pawn chain from a2 to e6.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the problem in this C6 and D5?
yeah, c6, white plays d5.
Yeah, I like C take D5. Want to open the center.
Oh, I think this is time for d5 then. We need to play d5.
You
Direct.
you want to play direct d5.
Yeah, but it feels
Actually,
yeah.
the idea which you suggested, no, Kiran, is correct. But you have to mix it up well. You said no c5 and d into e5, but you have to mix it up well.
Ah,
If you play direct d5, I think white will play c5 and you'll have a lot of space.
correct. So what I can think of here is c5, d5, and bishop g4. Like that feels like okay, so something that's doable.
No, then it's better to include d5
Ah,
in the game. See, the point is white is having a very strong center. We are trying to destroy it. If it is destroyed, there are a lot of weaknesses in the position. The squares are weak, if you see.
hmm,
It does not look to us, but if the position gets opened up, the squares will be very weak.
hmm,
So we have to destroy it, like d into e5,
okay.
f into e5, c5. You cannot take d into c5 because knight d7 and then e5 pawn is hanging, whole pawn center gone.
Ah,
D5.
He played bishop f4, but yeah, d5. d5 is met with bishop g4. Now threatening to take this and then this. How will you defend? Bishop f4,
yeah.
knight d7. If the e5 pawn falls, black is just better. Pawn down, center gone, everything working very well. Okay. Or are you thinking of making something work here? E6 something?
No. I like black only because bishop is also now very strong. The
Yeah.
dark color bishop.
So that's why first putting d5 is better so that the e5 pawn becomes weak.
Hmm.
So that's why he played bishop f4. bishop g4. If d5 will transpose, d5, knight 8, d7 transposed. He took dc5, knight d7. Now black will not hurry. He will not be hurrying to take the e5 or c5 pawn. He'll just develop knight c6, bishop f3, knight e5, everything under control. The bishop very strong, and we will have the passers in the center. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, what will be our natural instinct? Oh my God, he is having such a strong center. What will I do? What will I do? This kind of feeling comes.
True.
Okay, let's take one last example from the
But
center.
why won't like immediate c5 work in the previous variation? Immediate c5, d5, like the same ideas won't work here.
I feel it is working, but maybe there would be something. That's why he played a particular move order.
Oh. Okay, that thing looks more clearer, more direct.
Yeah, it looks no options for
Ah,
white.
got it.
Okay, no, this is basically same position. No, it's different. Okay. Yeah, same kind of structure. So maybe you can understand better. Now black is not having bishop on g4. So the e5 pawn is more safe. Now white will just play bishop d3, short castles, bishop pair advantage, powerful center, very happy. So how should you try to destroy it?
What about e6, then d6, and then we can play f6. If they play even d6, we can play f6. Otherwise, we can take and their pawns are loose.
Yes, very good. This is absolutely correct. And but what our initial reaction would be while playing e6? Oh my God, he is getting a protected pass pawn.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's scary.
f6 is possible, but black improved with knight c6. Next move f6.
Uh,
We'll see this game full. I think maybe we can see how black destroys white's position. The point which I was saying that white's these squares will be weak. Now you can get to know it.
just
f6
one
break.
question. So usually, when we see games from these top players, so whenever they find a great idea, they usually have something really interesting, like knight c6 in between, which improves the original idea. So, like, how do they
Yeah,
arrive at it?
exactly.
Yeah. How how?
Like if I talk about this particular position, let me go with this particular position. Our idea is f6. Okay, can you stop it?
No.
That's you got your answer.
Ah,
That's why they do not rush it with it.
yeah, got it.
Next move they will play f6. The knight on b8 is just doing nothing. Let's improve that knight and then play f6.
Mm,
And also they see if their opponent can create any counterplay against their idea. If not, then why to hurry?
okay.
Yeah. f6, bishop g2, c4. I think actually blunder already, but this position is just falling. If you also develop here, somewhere here, maybe fe5, queen d6, everything is falling. Bishop g2, knight c4. So white thought that, okay, let's give up those pawns, but let me just make my king safe at least. Bishop e3. It's trying to attack this c5 pawn. Knight f3. Knight d4. Now if it takes queen b7, bishop b7, rook b8, and then b2 will be hanging, I think. Of queen d6. Okay. g3 is also hanging now. Okay, not such an instructive game. Actually, white did not play so well to fight on. I thought the black player is GM, so it would be a good game. But the point was this only, how to create this counter attack. And one more thing, like I was telling, no, this blockade mechanic. So let me explain this now. So the blockade mechanic is like, okay, suppose the white pawns are on e4 and d4. So what you do, you put pressure on the d4 pawn. Let's say bishop g7, knight c6, queen d8, rook d8, queen d7, and you are trying to put pressure on the d4 pawn. Then what he will do? He'll push d5.
Yeah.
When he pushes the d5, what is the drawback? Do you know, guys, what drawback is?
There is one weakness. He leaves a weakness behind. E5 square.
Yeah. Bad thing about white's move, like opponent's move. He plays d5. Now your knight can sit on e5. This is basically the blockade mechanic. Now your knight is sitting on a central square.
Can you show?
And his pawns.
Uh,
Yeah, okay, I'll show you. Like I'm not showing the full position, but just for understanding purpose.
yeah.
I think we are still in the. It's still showing us this thing layer.
Yeah. I'm not showing. I'm just setting up the position
Got
for now. Yeah, so this was the point I was making. Okay, let me put some more pieces. Suppose this knight on. Yeah. This knight on e2, bishop e3, they're protecting d4. And suppose you attack with your rook and queen here. Just imagine, I'm not putting up the whole position. Just imagine rook or queen are attacking the d4 pawn. Then what he will do? He's forced to play d5 somewhere. Otherwise, he will lose the d4 pawn. And when he plays d5,
Knight d5, yeah.
the e4 pawn is also not going. The knight on e5 is also very strong, sitting in the center of the board.
Right.
Okay, so we'll continue in our next class, the next positions also. We'll see some more positions in pawn center and the last one, dynamic center. So our next class will be like all combined. And I'll give you some positions of this topic. What you guys can do, you can play games with each other in the same position. Like one side will try to defend, one side will try to attack.
Got it.
Okay.
And by discussing also, you can get better understanding.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, do you have any doubt now?
For now, nothing.
Okay, then. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah.